Welcome to Saket's Coven. Tonight, we are going to continue our journey with Utterly Wicked by Dorothy Morrison. Tonight, we are going to deal with the caption, Do You Have What It Takes? I'll be right back. Yes, I hope everyone is doing well today, doing fantastic. I hope everything is working out in your favor. Like I said, tonight we are going to deal with something very deep that we should ponder on this journey. Just a moment. Let me grab a sip of water before we get started so I can read fluently. All right. Do you have what it takes? Again, this is from Utterly Wicked by Dorothy Morrison. Wonderful book. I suggest you partake. Curses are not for the namby-pamby, nor are they for fluffy bunnies or for those who insist that even the worst of horrors happen for a reason. They are for gutsy folks with the courage to do something about their situations when all other possibilities have been exhausted. But just the same, curses aren't to be taken lightly or flung about without due cause and serious thought. They're not your normal type of magic, and certainly not anything that should be performed as readily as a protection spell or a money spell. In fact, there's good reason that they're usually at the top of the magical practitioner's 10-foot pole list. And contrary to popular belief, taking responsibility for your actions is the least of your worries. To start with, cursing someone takes an inordinate amount of energy, your energy that you stored for other things, like the simple business of everyday living. And cursing someone effectively is going to wipe out all your reserves. But even if that weren't the case, it's important to remember that you're going to be transferring that energy to the person on the other end of your magic. So there's a good chance that you're inadvertently going to pick up some of that person's energy along the way. Do you really want that nasty stuff on you? Probably not. Another thing is that the only substance that will fuel a curse properly is anger. Trying to fuel it with love or adding a for the good of all concerned codicil simply isn't going to cut it. In order to even get the spell off the ground, you're going to have to be so mad that you can't see straight. So mad that even strangling the person in question with your bare hands wouldn't be enough to suit you. Yes, you're going to have to be absolutely, uncontrollably beyond the shadow of a doubt, livid, pissed, more infuriated and enraged than you've ever been your entire life and ever likely to be again. And you need to know whether you've got what it takes to work yourself up in that sort of irresistible hissy fit. What's more, though, do you even want to? Further, you're also going to have to believe that you are unquestionably correct in the need to curse someone. Rationalization to suit your own purposes isn't going to cut it. You have to be right. You have to be sure. There isn't any room for error or an after the fact. Oops, I was mistaken when it comes to curses. The effects can be finite. Once more, you can't even begin to second guess yourself. Do you have that sort of resolve? If none of this bothers you and you're absolutely certain of your position, then a curse is probably the way to go. And if not, well, it's best left alone. I shall return in a moment with the next segment. I'm back. And as we were discussing, do you have what it takes? And so we've come to the conclusion that we must go through a personal checklist before we move into any of these types of workings. The fact of the matter is that we are often our own worst enemies. We constantly set ourselves up for disaster in any number of ways. Sometimes it's a matter of giving folks too much personal information. Sometimes it's a matter of being ill prepared or less than diligent about dealing with details. But most of the time, it's a matter of procrastinating, or although it's true, and I really hate to say this, being too lazy to handle our tasks efficiently. We just expect things to handle themselves, and they don't. But unfortunately, this sort of behavior is a part of human condition, which is why we should always reason with ourselves before we do any sort of workings that involve hexes, curses, and other unsavory notions. Um, as we talked about yesterday, um, every action has a reaction, an equal reaction. So when you sow good seed, you receive good harvest. When you sow bad seed, you receive bad harvest. But there's also the justice factor and whether or not it is deserving. I mean, because let's face it, none of us want to break the laws of men. And so sometimes we are put in situations where we just have to handle things the way we have to handle them. And so, after we have questioned ourselves and we come to a firm stance, then you can proceed either way. But it is all about intent, it is all about consequence, and it is all about, you know, the issue that you're dealing with. And um, you have to activate your abilities of intuition in this um, on this journey. Most of the time, um, it's mostly mental. The different situations and circumstances that we deal with on a daily basis. And so for me, magic has been more of self development. I am really not concerned of harming anyone else, um, other than in a protective, capacity. And that I feel is lawful in the book of rules, which you adapt as you go along. Because I have a golden rule is um, to reason with myself and not to react solely upon emotion, to give myself some time and to actually judge the matter. We are the judges of our lives, regardless of what we have been taught. You have been given this one chance, this one opportunity here on planet Earth. And most of the time, you are in a judgmental state just because you have to be as the manager of your own personal universe. And so, you have to begin to, like I said, a large part, reason with yourself before, you know, you do any such workings in this capacity. And so, upon return, we are going to move into the next segment um, for tomorrow, which is it a hex or is it a hex? That is the subject matter that we will share for tomorrow from Utterly Wicked by Dorothy Morrison. And until then, ta ta, peace and love from Saket's Coven. And always remember, you are the judge of your own personal universe. Take charge.